Welcome back, everyone. I know staying up and playing board games till 2 a.m. can burn some people out, but we did exactly that at TantrumCon 2022, and spoiler alert, we're now more excited than ever to play more games. What does that say about us? Are we obsessed?
And I'd be like, why are you so obsessed with me?
Either way, we had a blast at TantrumCon. I can't wait to tell you all about it. So if you want to know what went down at TantrumCon 2022, and you want to get some great suggestions from some awesome content creators that I met there, then might I suggest? Hi, I'm Alex, and welcome to Might I Suggest a Game, a channel devoted to helping you find your perfect board game. Today, like I mentioned before, we're going to be recapping our time at TantrumCon 2022. Liz and I had a blast in Charlotte playing games and participating in events, but really our favorite part was meeting all the awesome people that were at the convention too. So today's episode will be broken up into two parts. In the first half, I'll do a quick recap of all the things that we did and all the games that we played at TantrumCon, and in the second half, backed by popular demand, we'll jump right into the Might You Suggest portion. If you remember my video from Origins last year, Might You Suggest is a set of short-form interviews where I talk to publishers and content creators and board game fanatics alike and have them be the ones suggesting games for you guys. I know it may come as a surprise, but I'm not the only one with opinions on board games out there.
Wait, what?
I can't wait for you guys to see those interviews. Awesome people suggesting awesome games. What could be better? Oh, and I'll make sure to link all of their channels down below in the description. And while you're there, don't forget to hit subscribe and that little bell button so you can get notified when I post new content. So anyways, let's get to it. Will one of these games from TantrumCon 2022 be the perfect game for you? Let's find out, shall we? Okay, let's start from the top. As soon as we got there on Thursday, me, Liz, and my mom, who was visiting for the day, went straight to the Play to Win table and picked up Vivid Memories from Floodgate Games. This abstract route-building game with really great components ended up being a lot more thinky than we expected. The art, the components, and the theme really made us expect this to be a really lightweight game, but the abstract gameplay took a little longer than we expected. So much for starting with an easy one. Anyways, the question that I'll ask with all of these is, would we play it again? For Vivid Memories?
That wouldn't be my first choice, no.
The next one on the table was Crossed Words from Indie Boards and Cards. This categories type party game was a fun word association puzzle and a nice filler in between other games, but the one thing about it was that it wasn't really very memorable. We still had a fun time playing it and came up with some funny inside jokes, but would I go out and play it again?
Probably not, no.
Anyways, the last one for the night was Ubongo 3D from Cosmos Games. The first game we played was abstract, the second game we played was real time, and so for the third one we had to go with something that was abstract and real time. Even though we played this three-dimensional puzzle on easy mode, there were still plenty of combinations that really stumped us. It was definitely a fun, spatial activity, and each round was very frantic, so we all had a good laugh and a good time. I'm not sure this would be one I would keep in my collection, but would I play it again?
Maybe. If I'm up to it.
Anyways, after a good night's sleep, we were up and at 'em at 10 a.m. on day 2 for the Wordle tournament. Now, Liz and I have really enjoyed doing the daily Wordles each morning, and so it was a no-brainer to sign us up for this tournament. What I didn't realize was that when there's a competition and a time limit involved, I'll pretty much forget every 5-letter word I know. After 2 separate rounds of solving 3 Wordles at a time, I was lucky enough to make it into the finals, but unfortunately, I got absolutely smoked. Either way though, it was a fun time and a great way to start off the day, although I have to say, I prefer the non-competitive version of Wordle much better. After that tournament, the rest of the day was all Stonemaier. At lunch, we get to participate in our first tournament where the featured game was Rolling Realms. Now, Rolling Realms is a quick and fun roll and write that uses thematic elements from all the other Stonemaier games. As a self-proclaimed Stonemaier fanboy, the meta aspect of this game was something that really appealed to me. We got a chance to play with 8 people at our table, and even though I didn't win the game or the physical copy of the game, I still had a blast playing and trying to make those combos. Now, the one thing with this game is that as much as I love Stonemaier games, I'm not sure if it would have a place on my table for people that don't know Stonemaier games as well as I do. So I had a lot of fun. I think the game is really solid, but would I play it again?
There is a chance. It's a slim one.
Anyways, after this delicious tournament meal, we ended up spending most of the rest of our day getting the interviews that you'll see later on in this video. But we did get a chance to play one more game, courtesy of the awesome Carley from Gnarly Carley Gaming, and that game was Libertalia Winds of Galecrest. This reskinned, pirate-themed hand management game was definitely one I had my eye on, and when she offered to teach it to us, we were all in. The game itself was tense with a lot of player interaction, and your deduction skills and your ability to read other players was way more important than I expected. Even though we all got smoked by our friend Joe, the game was so quick to pick up and easy to teach that I actually didn't mind losing this time. Anyways, I really enjoyed this one. I'm looking forward to talking more about it on the channel, so stay tuned for that video. Anyways, would I play Libertalia again?
I have no say in it, Gibbs. It's a pirate's life for me. Savvy?
Anyways, after this game, we decided to cut out a little early so Liz and I could have a cute little date night. I tried to convince her that playing some board games would be very romantic, but you know, a nice dinner is okay too. Anyways, because we left early, we came in on day 3 ready to hit it hard. Liz and I played 6 different games on Saturday and still managed to eat and stay hydrated. I'm really proud of us. Anyways, we started off by playing the prototype copy of Blazin' from 25th Century Games. Chad from 25th Century was nice enough to let us borrow the prototype, and if you remember, this was one of my most anticipated games for 2022, so we were super excited to get our hands on it. We really loved this set collection pattern creation game. It was simple, but it had enough strategy and enough variability to be very replayable, and Liz said this was her favorite game of the whole convention. That's pretty high praise. Anyways, we were stoked on this game and we can't wait to see it come to retail in the fall. So, would we play Blazin' again?
I don't know. I think I will. Wow.
Anyways, it was getting close to lunchtime, but we decided we could fit one more in before we got hungry, so we ended up playing this cool 2-player trick-taking game called Jekyll vs. Hyde from Mondu Games. Now Liz and I both enjoy trick-taking games, so this one was really intriguing. It kind of felt like it had that Fox in the Forest back and forth duel, but with a little extra juice to make it even more strategic. I told Liz after we played it that I'm not really sure if there's anyone I would want to teach this to, but I would really love to continue to play it with her. She's really quick at picking up games and really good at trick-taking games, so she whooped my butt on both plays. Either way though, I was really impressed with the production quality of this one as well as the gameplay. So, would I play Jekyll vs. Hyde again?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
After a tasty lunch where we got to meet even more board gamers, we decided to jump into our heaviest game of the convention, which was Bitoku from Devere Games. Now, I had my eye on Bitoku ever since Origins, where I saw the art and I was blown away. And let me tell you, the art and the components did not disappoint. However, I will say for this game, if you tend to get visually overstimulated, you might want to think twice before you play this one. When you lay out the board and set everything up, not only does it sprawl on the table a ton, there's also so much going on the board that it can be kind of intimidating. We were lucky enough to have our friend Joe explain the rules to us, and even though it took about 4 hours, I felt like the gameplay was super smooth and I really enjoyed it all the way through. And I think Liz did too. You'll have to ask her. Part of that bias might be just because I won, but you know, who can blame me? Anyways, Bitoku is definitely one of those ones that if I had it in my collection, I don't think I would ever find an opportunity to get it to the table with my current game group, but it was so awesome to try it out in a convention setting, and I'm really glad that I did. So, would I play Bitoku again?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Anyways, after that grueling 4-hour game, we needed to have something a little bit lighter to cleanse the palate, which was perfect because we had signed up for the Tournament where we were playing Long Shot the Dice game. Now, this light little roll and write is themed just like the original Long Shot game, which is about betting on racehorses and all kinds of stuff like that. I had played the original game, but I liked this roll and write version better because it felt like you had a little bit more control about what was going on with the horses. The game itself was back and forth, just like any good horse race should be, but unfortunately I didn't come out on top, nor did I win the game again on this one. Still, I had a good time playing Long Shot the Dice game from Perplexed, but the question is, do I need another roll and write in my collection? It's hard to say, but would I play Long Shot the Dice game again?
Yeah, why not? Go play. You deserve it.
Anyways, with a fresh palate and a belly full of pizza, we went back into the showroom to try to cash in on our last chance to win one of those play-to-win games. After a lot of perusing, we ended up settling on Genotype from Genius Games. I've heard a lot of good things about Genius Games, but I never played one of them before, but I really loved how thematic this one was. Genotype is all about Punnett squares and genetics research, and it was super easy to learn because everything really made sense from what I remembered from 9th grade biology. Mechanics-wise, it was a pretty simple worker placement game with some great art and a scientific theme that you might actually learn something from. So anyways, would I play this one again?
Oh, most definitely.
Anyways, at this point it was already pretty late, but we knew we weren't going to be able to make it to the last day of the convention, so we wanted to close out things in style. So we chose Three Sisters from 25th Century Games as our last game of the night. This crunchy roll and write was one of the games that I was really looking forward to playing at this convention, and it did not disappoint. A nice relaxing round of growing and watering seeds in your garden, gaining fruit and upgrading your shed to get those extra bonus actions that'll let you make those awesome combos really made this a very relaxing and yet challenging experience. The mechanics of the game are nothing new, just a classic roll and write really, but all the different combinations of things that you can do meant that Liz and I, even though we had two totally different strategies, ended up with very, very close scores. We really enjoyed our play of this one, and I think with the right group, this one would be a perfect match. Would I play this one again?
Oh, you betcha.
We wrapped this one up at around 1:30 and we're ready to call it a day. But I do have to say, when we left, there were still a ton of people in the convention room. So shout out to all you late nighters. You're the ones that make TantrumCon so much fun. And shout out to the Tantrum House crew. This was one of the best run conventions I've ever been to. And if you're anywhere near the North Carolina area, you should definitely check out TantrumCon next year. Anyways, I hope that wasn't too long-winded. Let's get into the most important part of this video, the part where I talk to a bunch of board game nerds and they give their best Might I Suggest a Game impression. So without further ado, let's get into another installment of Might You Suggest? Hi, I'm Alex from Might I Suggest a Game, a channel devoted to helping you find your perfect board game. And today, who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Carley from Gnarly Carley Gaming.
Very cool. Love your channel. Tell us a little bit about what you do on your channel and what kind of channels you have.
Yeah, so I started Gnarly Carley Gaming on Instagram kind of by accident. I mostly just wanted to talk to other gamers, so I share my life in games. I live with other gamers, we play a bunch of games, and I talk about them. And it's kind of grown from there, and I've recently branched out into YouTube content as well. But it's still kind of that. It's my life in the games that I play.
I love that. I love that. So, today, for the channel, what game are you going to be recommending to our subscribers?
I've talked a lot about it online. I'm going to recommend Anno 1800.
Okay, perfect. So, Anno 1800, tell us more about that game.
So I actually, till the other day, I couldn't really describe why I liked it so much. Like, I was playing it a lot online, and usually I play like a different game each day. So people naturally were like, you're playing this more than once in a week. And I was like, yeah, I really like it. But what really it is you're running an island and developing industries, but you're developing them for the people on your island. You get a bunch of population cards, and they all have certain things. So your basic workers will want things like work shirts and beer, lots of schnapps, booze, basically, and bread.
Same.
Yeah. The simple stuff. And then you have more aristocratic workers that can make more advanced industries for you that score you more points, but they also have more sophisticated needs to match. The goal of the game, one person will trigger end by basically satisfying all of their island, making them kind of content, giving them what they want, whether that's through making it themselves or trading with everybody. And what's really wonderful about this game to me and why I think I love it so much is everything you do is satisfying. Even if you don't win, you're constantly like making people happy and building industry from low to high. And there's just something really satisfying about getting some of the harder industries to make. One of the hardest ones you can get is a steam carriage. And just doing that in itself, even though I typically lose, is just really, really, I like games that are fun to lose. And that's why.
Wow. I'm really good at losing games, so I appreciate that as well. So now I'm going to ask you the most difficult question, right? How would you describe Anno 1800 in one sentence?
You make sausage till you can make bikes and make your people happy? I don't know.
Oh, you make sausage so you can make bikes. You heard it here first.
I don't know.
That's what Anno 1800 is all about, sausage and bikes. We love to see it. So if you want to have a game about sausage and bikes, then might I suggest Anno 1800. Today, who am I here with?
Chad Elkins from 25th Century Games.
Chad, it's great to see you again after Origins.
Always a pleasure.
For those who didn't watch the original video, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yep, so 25th Century Games, game publisher located in Atlanta, Georgia. We've been in existence for probably about 5 or 6 years now, building up the catalog and just making great games every year.
One of the things I love about 25th Century Games is the plethora of different types of games that you guys offer. So I hope you continue to do that. You guys are doing a great job. So today, which game are you going to be recommending to us?
So it's a hard choice. We've got several new games we're debuting here at TantrumCon, but I think the one we're going to recommend today, because it comes out on March 9th in retail, this is Three Sisters. This is a roll and write game. It's by Matt Riddle and Ben Pinchback. We've also did another roll and write game. It's been out for a few years called Fleet the Dice Game. So for people that like heavier side roll and writes, definitely a step way above like a filler roll and write. Fleet the Dice Game has been like a staple of that market. And so they've come back now with Three Sisters. It's a fantastic game. It's a lot of combos. It's very dense, but the turns, what you do on a turn is actually relatively simple. But when you really dig into it, the choices you're making and the combos that get driven off of those choices is where the game really starts to shine. I think it's where the depth and the complexity really of these denser roll and writes is really why people are drawn to them.
Wow, that sounds awesome. Sounds super thematic, which I love thematic games. So now we get to the most difficult question in the interview, right? This is the one I grill everybody on. What is a way that you would describe Three Sisters in one sentence?
This is always hard. It is a combo-tastic roll and write experience.
A combo-tastic roll and write experience. You heard it here first. Three Sisters from 25th Century Games. You should definitely check it out. So, if you're looking for a combo-tastic roll and write that's both super thematic and very relaxing,
Might I suggest Three Sisters?
And today, who am I with?
I'm Kevin Delp with Tantrum House. We do board game media.
Amazing. And this is your convention.
Yeah, welcome to TantrumCon, the awesomest convention, right, of this week at least.
Oh, yeah. We are having a great time at TantrumCon, and we're super stoked to be able to have some time to talk with you, Kevin. Right. So, which game are you going to be suggesting to our viewers?
I might suggest Rolling Realms.
So tell me a little bit about Rolling Realms.
Rolling Realms is a new game currently out from Stonemaier Games, and it is about rolling dice, getting resources, and basically getting stars, getting points, because, you know, every good Euro game is all about getting points. So you have to figure out the best way of getting points in Rolling Realms.
Yeah, so Rolling Realms is also a bit of a meta game. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Right. So Stonemaier Games has put out quite a few number of games so far. Viticulture, we got Scythe, you know, some of those big games out there, Euphoria. And he has created a game that sort of has a streamlined version of those games and what he calls realms in his game. So you're basically rolling dice to place those numbers on those different realms. So you have a viticulture card, you have a Scythe card, you have a society card, you have a Between Two Cities cards. You got all his different games all wrapped up in one game.
Now, I'm a big Stonemaier Games fan, so that was music to my ears for sure, for sure. So now the toughest question in the interview, how would you describe Rolling Realms in one sentence?
All of Stonemaier Games in one game.
Oh my goodness! Oh, that sounds so good. I gotta get it right away. So, if you're looking for a fun roll and write, and you also happen to be looking to play every single Stonemaier game all at once,
might I suggest Rolling Realms.
And today, who am I here with?
Ryan Gutowski of One Board Family.
Very cool. So, Ryan, tell me a little bit more about your channel.
So One Board Family, we encourage people to game multi-generationally. I grew up gaming with my parents, gaming with my grandma, and so playing cards with her. And so we wanted to express how fun it is when you're gaming across the table from family members who are older and younger, and how many new experiences you can have around the game table. It's really monumental. So
that's so cool. Yeah, we just had a son. He's almost 1 year old, so we're hoping that he'll be into board games when he grows up.
That's so sweet.
So, what game are you going to be suggesting today?
So I'm going to suggest Buried Treasure. It's a re-release of a Sid Saxon game from the 90s. It was just recently re-released by Restoration Games. Restored it, made it a little better. It's a fantastic game. I actually didn't play the original, which was all pirate themed. This is actually pie themed. So it's all about critters who are grabbing pies from each other off the baker's rack. And so it's really cutthroat, but because it plays in 15 to 20 minutes, the cutthroatness doesn't matter. It's so much fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great sort of quick little genre. I love that. Easy to teach. I'm always the one teaching games, so yeah. I appreciate a game that's easy to teach. So now the hardest question in the interview: how would you describe Buried Treasure in one sentence?
A pie snatching good time.
A pie snatching good time. You heard it here first, folks. So, if you want an easy to teach, quick to play game that has a ton of player interaction and even more pie, might I suggest Buried Treasure. Today, who am I here with?
Steven.
And Steven, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am in the podcast Meeple Mentor. That's on Meeple Mentor on YouTube. We're also on Spotify, all the podcast channels as well. And I really love board games.
Yeah, me too. So tell me a little bit about Meeple Mentor. What's the pitch for the channel?
Yeah, so the Meeple Mentor channel is mostly about learn to play games. They have a lot of wide variety of games that you can learn how to play. He does a lot of unboxing as well. That's Jared. Jared is the owner of the channel. And I sit in on the podcast with him.
Very, very cool. So, Steven, today, what game are you going to suggest to our viewers?
All right. Today, I'm going to suggest Ascension. I know it's not the most rare game, but it's one of my favorites. It's my wife's favorite game to go to play. Anytime she's willing to play, it's probably the game she's going to choose.
That's great. So tell me a little bit about what makes Ascension so good.
Well, it's a classic deck building game, but one of my favorite parts about Ascension is it's not just a buy a card, keep the card. It's got the runes, which you could buy cards with, or you can battle monsters, which is a different kind of victory point you can get, or a different way to gain victory points at the end of the game. So it's a little bit of a different concept from regular deck building game.
Very cool. So how would you describe Ascension in one sentence?
Deck building game where you can kill monsters.
That sounds pretty good to me.
So, if you're looking for a quintessential deck building game with a monster fighting twist,
might I suggest Ascension? Today, who am I with?
Jared Reeves, the Meeple Mentor channel.
Very cool. So, tell me a little bit about Meeple Mentor.
Well, it's primarily on YouTube, but we also have a podcast called Mentor Minutes, but there's the video version, of course, that people like. But essentially, the channel is all about making tutorial videos for the medium to heavier weight games that most people have a hard time, getting to the table or playing, because learning a new game that's heavier can be difficult.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like a one-stop shop, anywhere, any kind of news, board game stuff that you need to learn about, sounds like you can find it on Meeple Mentor. So tell me now, what is the game that you are going to suggest to our viewers?
I would suggest a new game that came out last year called Lost Ruins of Arnak. This is a fantastic, easy-to-learn type of game where it combines some deck building and worker placement. The theme is what really grabs a lot of people, and it kind of allows people to want to learn and pick up the game really quickly. It's basically you're an archaeologist exploring a new island world of Arnak. You go investigate a temple, you find new ruins and dig sites out there. And it's not very difficult to play. You use cards to place guys. You can also use cards for their ability, and you collect resources and spend them to move up the temple. And that's pretty much the game. It's a lot of fun. Plays up to 4 people, and I would recommend that for even new players. You could pick it up. And if you do have any trouble with the rulebook, I did make a tutorial, so you can definitely check that out.
We will link that tutorial up there in the link, so definitely check out Meeple Mentor's channel and their tutorial on how to play Lost Ruins of Arnak. So, toughest question in the interview, how would you describe Lost Ruins of Arnak in one sentence?
Lost Ruins of Arnak is about exploring an island using your workers and a combination of cards to get a lot of points, and that's it.
You heard it here first, folks. That is a pretty good description, I think, of Lost Ruins of Arnak. That's exactly what it is.
So if you're looking for an Indiana Jones style worker placement deck building adventure that just so happens to have a great tutorial online,
might I suggest Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Thanks so much for tuning into my TantrumCon 2022 recap and these awesome Might You Suggest interviews. I hope you enjoyed the content and it gets you excited to go to whatever con you're going to next. I was so thankful to meet so many awesome people. Thank you to everyone that I got to track down for an interview, and if I didn't get you this time, I'll definitely have to do it soon. I really love doing these interviews, so let me know if there's anyone in particular you'd love to see an interview with, and I'll see if I can set it up. And before we wrap up, I want to give a big thanks to the Tantrum House crew for putting this convention on, and of course to my partner in crime Liz, who was my awesome camera woman all weekend. Anyways, thank you so much to everyone who supported this channel so far. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so we can keep growing this channel and keep helping you find your perfect board game. Once again, this has been a Might I Suggest a Game production, and I'm Alex, your board game sommelier, signing off.